Hi, I'm James McGuire. I'm here with Jason Mills, Senior Vice President of Solution Engineering at Cloudera. Jason, hope you're keeping up with all the buzz at the show today.
It's fantastic. It's an exciting buzz because this is a turning point for Cloudera, for the enterprise and truly coming out with a native hybrid solution that customers are really excited about. To see everyone here at the conference, and this is my third Evolve in my tenure here, 4 months. And the energy is just exciting at every single one. So our next one is in London in 2 weeks, and then DC, Washington DC, back to the States.
Great.
And then the last one will be in Dubai in November. So with this buzz that we're seeing, we're going to close the end of the year out with pretty exciting times.
That's great. You know, I thought it was really interesting in the keynote today. They brought up that MIT study that's gotten so much attention. Like apparently 95% of use cases, AI use cases, are failing, which I can hardly believe, but let's take it at their word. Let's just say enterprises are struggling for successful use cases. Where are you seeing repeatable value for AI in the enterprise?
So let me just say that that's a good thing. That
or you see it as a positive, actually.
I think failure is a great way to learn. And I think what customers are learning is that many of the assumptions going into this new wave of AI capabilities, we're all learning what the future looks like. And so some of the things that we are seeing that's sticky, that is working, if you remove the kind of B2C or consumer-based use cases like a ChatGPT driven by LLMs, the internal use cases that help organizations leverage those same LLMs that were trained on publicly available data sets to understand language patterns within internal documents and internal workflows, those are things that are sticking quite well. So if you think about some complex use cases, such as fraud detection or document automation, right, where the LLMs are reading documents faster than a human can scale, right? Those are use cases that actually have a lot of gravity right now. And so organizations are beginning to collect their data estates and make decisions on which use cases or which data sets will drive which use cases going forward. And this is where Cloudera comes in, as a platform to enable that either consolidation of data or access to a variety of siloed data sets. Cloudera opens that possibility to then bring AI to the data that they didn't have before.
The silo piece can be a difficult piece. I know that some companies really wrestle with that. Our data is all siloed. It's like, how do we get access? You're saying that Cloudera can solve that problem.
Cloudera's mission is to solve that problem, both with legacy data environments. You can port your data into a Cloudera data estate or data warehouse, or through our open architecture are interoperable with other open data platforms, right? And so our goal is not to be the end-all be-all for every customer. That's a pipe dream. No platform is.
Sure.
But it's to make sure that we make the process of governing the data estate easier for our customers, whether it's on-prem or in the cloud.
What about clients who really want portability and choice, but of course they want it at the same cost? They want total portability, whether it's cloud, data stores, what model they're using. Flexibility is the name of the game, but they don't want to pay any kind of a performance tax or cost. What advice do you give to those clients?
Yeah. So if you think about what Cloudera is, it is basically a consolidation and a picking of the best open source projects and turning it into an enterprise-ready platform. And with that, we have a native interoperability capability. We go by all the open data standards that govern, data lakehouse, movement of data such as NiFi and Minify, et cetera, at the edge. And so we offer that interoperability as a native solution, both on-prem and in the cloud. So that's point one. Point two is our goal is to make that data accessible to any automation capability that customers want to blend on top of that, but make it easier and seamlessly. So where we are in that journey, I think with the recent acquisition of both Tycoon and Octopi, bring technologies that enhance that deployment capability as well as that analytical capability to see your entire data estate so that you can make better decisions on which data sets to put in which use case for AI.
Well, so then am I hearing that customers really can have that portability and choice without the extra cost?
I think that the extra cost is relative to the environment that you run in.
Okay.
Right? So if you're in the cloud, you're going to natively continue, your costs are going to continue to grow no matter what you do. It's just going to continue to scale. If you're on-prem, you have a controlled ability to say, you know what, I'm going to invest either in more infrastructure, or I'm going to keep my infrastructure the way it is, and we're just going to run leaner or run longer, right? Either one of those measurements can stabilize costs. But in the cloud, you're naturally going to continue to pay more and more. So what we offer is the option, the choice to say, you know what, for this production use case, we want to keep it on-prem so that we can keep our overall data costs or data compute costs at a minimum. And for these other workloads, we'll move them to the cloud, right? Customers don't have that choice with any other provider other than that Cloudera.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't it ironic that on-prem can be a better choice in some instances? I only say that because historically, if you go back to 2014, 2015, it was going to be like the cloud is going to do everything, and there will hardly be any more data centers. And here we are talking about, on-prem is great for this, and it's like I never would have thought it would have turned out that way.
Yeah. Well, if you think about the investment required to run a cloud company,
sure,
right, it's enormous, right? You have to be able to acquire the latest and greatest net new hardware, keep that hardware current and up and running. And so I think customers are at an inflection point right now. And this is part of the reason why I came to Cloudera, is customers are realizing that there is a better together conversation. There is a cloud conversation that they have been having for the past decade or more that has ported many workloads off of on-prem into the cloud for great reasons. But at this point, now the question is becoming, well, what's the right workload to run in the cloud? Or what's the right workload to maintain on-prem for security purposes? And even now what we're seeing with our customers is the question on sovereign data, where customers want, especially governments, want to make sure that their data has ultimate protection from external access. And so Cloudera, again, is a management platform that offers a cloud-like experience within a sovereign cloud environment or offering, right? And so that option is giving customers a lot more to think about versus just only going to the cloud.
Great. All right. So what about that elusive AI use case that might be not really jazzy, not to get a lot of headlines, but it might be even a little boring, but there's great return on investment that we don't necessarily think about a lot?
Right.
So what is that elusive AI use case?
Elusive. So enterprise risk management, to me,
that's a hot topic, by the way. We stay up late talking about enterprise risk management.
But there's so many good use cases in that umbrella that don't get a lot of credit. And I say that because if you think about what risk management is, at the top, it's usually very highly complex workflows. That means there's so many things that need to happen together seamlessly to be effective. And with humans, that tends to take a long time, right? Sharing of data, sharing of processes, confirming processes, et cetera. What next is in that ecosystem is data that's beyond human scale, right? You just can't hire your way into reading enough documents or hire your way into processing enough information in a compressed amount of time.
Of course.
And so what Cloudera is doing is, what we're saying is to those users, for those users that want to deploy enterprise risk management use cases, we're saying we can provide that ecosystem where you can both augment those humans at scale, give them more power to get through more data, and compress highly complex workloads into now agentic workflows that can provide that automation. And so we're seeing a lot of customers use those as initial use cases to test out AI's capability versus going to public with a chatbot, failing miserably, and getting some customer embarrassment, right? So I think it offers an opportunity for customers to begin to dip their toe into the AI world with things that they can control. You can control which data goes to those models. You can control which environments, which workflows you want to automate. And that gives customers, and so when you talk about failure, I think that that's one of the things that for any customer that just ran to the cloud with the latest in LLMs and turned a chatbot into something of a bit of political disaster, they're now backing off saying, well, how can we get better at knowing what our full machine learning operation or ML ops process is so that we can be better at deploying production grade AI.
Makes sense. I guess to get back to something like cost, because I think that it's obviously a really big subject, is that companies want to know, we've overspent on AI. We're into it, we're investing in it, but we have overspent. How can we not overspend, considering the fact there's so many ways to overspend, whether it's egress, duplication, inference, training? What do you tell clients? Here's how to not overspend on AI.
So the AI cost there's no one science that gives you that formula. But there are some underlying processes or components or dimensions of cost that can help you understand how to reduce your overall spend. And so I'm going to walk through those for a minute. Mm-hmm. The first is when you think about the initial step in your AI journey, it is pretty much your data preparation, your data labeling, like getting the data ready. This is the 80-20 rule.
The prep.
The prep of that data, right? There's a cost associated with that, right? Mm-hmm. There's time, there's materials, there's assets involved. And so understanding that that process and the cost associated with it is step number one. Step number two is deciding, what you will automate. That's use case discovery.
Right.
Which models work well with which use cases. Are you going to include agentic into that process? And so that decision also has a cost associated with it. You have to test out these models. You have to have proof of concepts and pilots and bake-offs to determine if that's the right approach.
Sure.
The third step is what effectively could be called hidden costs, and that is, if you think about the underlying infrastructure needs on-prem or in the cloud, that could be machines like hardware such as NVIDIA chips or Dell hardware or anything that used to compute those. That's an investment that needs to happen.
Sure.
And then lastly, you'll have your operation, right? How does the models run in production? Do you need to retrain models over and over again with human in the loop feedback to provide? So if you think about costs in the variety of dimensions versus just the operation, just the runtime,
right,
then you could begin to say, okay, my entire investment looks like this, and this is how we can optimize our spend across each of those environments. Net, when you make a decision on inferencing, you can also say, versus going directly to cloud, can I do this better on-prem and still offer the same quality and performance that I would get in the cloud at a cheaper cost? Right? So I think it's all of those questions that you have to look at before you make a decision on how to reduce costs, or even before you go to an AI use case.
Well, so you mean a lot of planning, in other words. You really plan it global. You cannot rush in.
We do this with our professional service organization. We do this with our value engineering organization every day for customers because they want a holistic approach to understanding cost management. But also, they want to make sure that they can govern those costs so that it doesn't balloon out of control. Think about it. You deploy an AI model, chatbot or whatever the use case is, to a cloud environment, and then you open it up to the world. How do you forecast user adoption?
Sure.
You can't.
Right.
How do you forecast number of queries per user? And so as these things begin to snowball out of control, we work with customers with a best practice approach to say, these are the potentials that you can run into. Maybe start on-prem and begin bursting to cloud when needed, right? But Cloudera is the only company that can offer that capability, that optionality, versus every other company, every other cloud provider will only say, compute here and close your eyes and see what happens next, right? We offer a more precise and a more tempered approach to deploying AI at the same speed and control that you can get in the cloud.
Jason, I think you said it. It's a lot of good stuff. I learned a lot. Thanks so much for sharing your expertise today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.
Take it. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.